Okay, welcome back to my kitchen. Today I'm going to show you how to make some black bean tostadas with some fried potatoes on it. It's a really good dish for breakfast, lunch, dinner, snack. Really filling, really nutritious. So let's get started. You're going to need a couple cans of black beans here. We're going to cook these down. You're going to need some corn tortillas. I prefer these ones here from La Tortilla Factory. I get these at my local supermarket at Safeway. You can probably find them at Kroger or Walmart or a local food store or something, maybe even a Spanish market or something. But you're gonna need some corn tortillas, the black beans. We're gonna do, for this recipe, we're gonna do one potato, and I'm gonna go ahead and wash it real quick. When I wash my potatoes, I use a brush like this, and I just get it under the water and start scrubbing it pretty good. Potatoes have got a lot of dirt on them from the growing process. You could peel them if you want. You don't even really need to wash them if you're gonna peel them, but I prefer to just leave the skin on because it gets nice and crispy. But just a nice brush on that. Hang this guy back up here. All right, so we got our potato. We're also gonna need some cilantro. This is half a red onion from the sweet potato hash recipe I did. If you haven't seen that yet, check it out. We're gonna need some limes, probably about 1 or 2 limes. Probably about the juice of a lime for the black beans, but we're gonna garnish it as well, so I'm gonna grab 2 of them out. Stick those back in there. Okay, so onion, lime, and we're gonna do some cilantro as well. And this guy right here, this is called an herb saver, and this was a gift that we got. But basically what it is it's a glass container that you put your herbs in, and it's got a little max fill line there. You just fill this up with water, and it keeps your herbs nice and fresh. Now these are kind of old, so these have been in here for a few weeks, but some of them are even starting to go bad, but we're gonna pick out the good stuff and use it. So the first thing you're gonna wanna do is get your cast iron pan hot. And I love to do potatoes in a cast iron pan because if you get a nice seasoning, you see how it's nicely oiled. If you get a nice seasoning on your cast iron skillet, when you cook potatoes, they won't stick. And they'll get nice and brown and crispy. So I started out at around a medium heat. And basically when it's nice and hot, it'll start to smoke a little bit. So we're gonna go ahead and start getting that potato ready. And I'm just gonna cut the top and tail off of it, throw that in my compost bin over here. And the way I like to do it is just cut a little flat bottom off of them, just a little piece of that skin, and then stand it up like that. So then take your knife and we're gonna make cubes. So go about a 1/2 inch cut there, and just go straight down. And I really need to sharpen this knife. It's not very sharp right now, but there you go. So about 4 slabs. I'm only doing 1 potato today because I'm just cooking for 2 people. But this recipe, you could pretty much double the recipe, and it would be perfectly fine. So just go ahead and cut them now into batons, like you're gonna do French fries. And French fries, by the way, from homemade potatoes, or from quality fresh potatoes, are the best way to do fries. No need to buy the Oreida potatoes at the store. Just get them all relatively similar in size. Doesn't really have to be perfect. You just want them to kind of cook at the same speed. So that's going to be our potatoes there. I'm going to get while the pan's heating up, I'm going to get my can opener out here. And I'm also going to get the heat going on the black beans. We're going to do the black beans in this little saucepan here. So the way I do these, and these are just organic black beans that you can buy at the supermarket. You can use any kind of black beans you can find. They don't have to be organic. I just prefer to use organic. But I'm going to get these open, and I'll show you. I usually don't drain my black beans completely. I'll drain some of it. So I'll just take it and I'll push the lid down here and just pour out a bunch of that black bean juice. And if you're weird about the black bean juice, you can completely rinse them, take them out and rinse them in a strainer. I don't really mind, and this is quicker. So what we're gonna do here with the black beans is we're gonna dump them in, and there's gonna be a little bit of residual juice in there. There we go. And this will make plenty. You can use this after it's cooked down. You can put these on tostadas, you can put it in burritos. You can eat it as a chip dip. It's a really nice chip dip. But, okay, we've got the black beans in there. So now we're gonna add some seasoning and some lime juice. So get your lime and just, if you roll out your lime on your cutting board before you squeeze it, it'll kind of, or before you cut it, it'll get some juice going. So just slice down the middle, take it over here, and squeeze it in. And I'm going to use the full lime, because these are pretty small limes. If you have a large lime, you might get away with using maybe just half of it. But we're going to save the other lime over there for garnish on our tostadas. Okay, so we've got the lime and the beans. And one other thing I want to add is some onion powder. And you're going to add about a teaspoon of onion powder. I like to do just a pinch of cayenne, just for a little bit of spiciness. Leave that out if you don't like heat. And this is a chipotle chili powder. You can use a regular chili powder as well. Because the chipotle flavor is really strong in this, I don't do very much of it. Just another pinch of that. And it just gives it a little bit of a chipotle, sort of adobo flavor. And the other thing we're going to use is cumin seeds. Now, I'm out of ground cumin right now, but I have these cumin seeds. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, where this pan is a little hot, I'm going to toss some cumin seeds in there and just roast them up a little bit real quick. Just toast them. And you got to be careful because they'll burn quite quickly. And they might burn on me where this pan is so hot. Let me get my towel here. Always have a towel ready for the handle on your, oh yeah, it's already ready. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna grab our mortar and pestle here and just scrape those cumin seeds down into the mortar and pestle. Like I said, if you have ground cumin, you don't need to do this, but I am out of ground cumin right now. So we want about a teaspoon of ground cumin after it's all said and done. You can get this, you can get cumin seed like this in bulk from your local Indian shop. The local Indian market here in Sacramento has a lot of spices. I'm going to use this spatula just to work these beans in. I'm going to turn them down just a little bit because they're already starting to go. So mortar and pestle, if you've got one. Spice grinder. Spice grinders are a little bit more difficult to use for grinding small amount of spices. And those are my dogs, I'm sorry. Hey, quiet. Got a couple of dachshunds, and they're real guard dogs. They just don't really like noises like this. So. But anyway, we're just gonna grind this this cumin seed down here, and make sure you can see that real well. So that's nice, freshly roasted ground cumin. Mortar and pestle is a really nice tool to have for grinding your own spices. I'm gonna get a spoon out here to scrape this out with, and it's just gonna go straight into the black beans. There we go, it's good enough. Okay, so now that our skillet over here is smoking, I'm going to use some grapeseed oil. You could use some olive oil. Just really want to coat the bottom of the pan here. So maybe 1 to 2 tablespoons. I'm going to make sure I work that around real nice. And we're just going to get the potatoes straight in. Like I said, I'm only doing 1 potato here. You can most certainly do 2 potatoes, depending on how many people you're cooking for. This is going to be enough for about 3 tostadas, which me and my partner Rachel tend to eat about 1.5 each, or she'll eat 1 and I'll eat 2 or whatever. So it's not very many potatoes, but you don't need a whole lot. And again, with the oil, like I said in my sweet potato hash video, I probably put a little too much oil in, but I tend to do that for potatoes because I like them nice and crispy. So just get them kind of worked down there. If you haven't seen that sweet potato hash video, just click up here on the top right and you can watch it. It's kind of a long one, but it's a start to finish deal. So you start with pulling the produce out and cooking with it, and all the way to the end product. So, all right. So with those going now, turn our black beans up to about a medium heat and work that cumin in. And I just want a pinch of salt in here as well. So far we've got a little chili powder, a little cayenne, cumin, and lime juice in here. You're gonna cook these down. There's a lot of liquid in here, it might seem like, and actually I'm gonna put even a little more in here, just a little bit of water, maybe about a 1/4 cup to a 1/2 cup of water. And basically you want to just cook these on about medium high, and over the next 10 minutes they'll really start to cook down. I want to bring them up to kind of a fierce boil. Okay, so the potatoes are going now. So let's go ahead and get our onion. Actually, let's cut our lime here for our garnish. Just gonna cut a few chunks of lime like that to squeeze over the tostadas at the end. We're gonna go ahead and cut our onion because I'm gonna also put some fresh raw onion on the tostadas. So I'm gonna cut the top and tail off of it, and we're gonna take it, stand it up like this, cut almost through it, but not quite. All right, and I'll show again like that, and then vertical cuts. Okay, now dice it up. I'm gonna do a small dice for these tostadas. You probably don't need too terribly much, but maybe about, that's probably plenty for what we're gonna do. We're just gonna end up garnishing the black beans with it. So I'm gonna set that over there. I'll wrap that up and use it in something else. And we'll get let's check on our potatoes here. Now where that oil was nice and hot, these are going quick. So just start to kind of shake them around. You really kind of want to get them flipped. You see the white edge there versus the brown edge there. You want to get them flipped over as much as possible, which it's not easy to do with little chunks of potato, but just kind of work them around the pan, and some of them will get flipped over, some of them won't, but it's all good at the end of the day. Still going to be crispy. You could do these in the oven too. I'm not really sure how long that takes. I don't usually do little cube potatoes in the oven because they're easier just to do on the skillet, but you could definitely do them in the oven if you wanted to do that. Nice little shake there. And if those go quick enough, I might do the other potato as well. Now you see, this is a nice fierce boil over here. This black bean and the juice. I'm gonna turn down just a little bit, down to around the medium. I'm just gonna stir them. You don't want them to stick to the bottom, but you just want this liquid to cook out. So we're gonna keep doing that. Potatoes are looking good, beans are going. So let's get this is a griddle here. If you have a griddle, great. If not, like most people probably won't, just use a pan like a cast iron or a regular skillet, or use your oven for the, and I'm just gonna start it up on high to get it up to heat, but we're gonna do the corn tortillas on there because corn tortillas, I don't really like the taste of them if they're not cooked. And I'm gonna do 3 here. So one thing I wanna do is I wanna get out some vegan butter. Little slab of vegan butter here. And as this griddle here is heating up, I'm gonna lather some butter over it like this right here. And this is gonna help with the brownness of the tortillas, because we wanna get them nice and crispy. And with corn tortillas, if you don't get them nice and crispy, they'll be kind of floppy when you go to eat it. So nice good bit of butter. You could use oil. You don't have to use anything at all, but this will help just the browning process a little quicker. And throw them on there. And the heat on this griddle heats a little unevenly, so the sides over here are going to be less hot than the middle where the direct flame is. So you'll just want to watch them and rotate them. Let's check on our potatoes here. Potatoes are getting nice and crispy, nice and crispy. You can see all that brown, crispy, crunchy texture forming on them. Some of them are still going to be white on the bottom just because of the nature of how we're cooking them here, but for the majority, most part, they will be crispy. Alright, so beans cooking down, tortillas on the griddle. Yeah, look at that. If you look down in there, if you can see that, they're starting to stick a little bit to the bottom of the pan. That's just because it's so hot, and the beans are starting to kind of break down. You just want to work them around. Black beans are an essential part of a vegan diet, in my opinion. Every time I go to the store, I buy 4 cans of black beans. Usually they're like 4 for $5. And even if I have black beans already, I know that I'm going to use them. So I just go ahead and buy more of them. It's the same way with chickpeas. Lots of beans like that. Now see, this is a pretty vicious boil here. I'm just going to drop this down a little bit to more of a simmer. And our potatoes are almost done, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the other potato out that I wasn't going to use and just go ahead and cook this one as well, because those potatoes cook so fast. We got that cast iron skillet nice and hot, and the oil was nice and hot, and that grapeseed oil is great for frying and sauteing and crisping. I used to just use olive oil, but this grapeseed oil, it's a neutral vegetable oil. It's really nice for all-purpose cooking. So same deal with the potato over here. A little onion left over there. We're gonna top, tail. Cut a little slab off the edge. Stand it up. 1/2 inch cut into slabs. Just like that. Find the flat surface, lay them down, and cut them into batons. Potatoes are so versatile. You can use them in so many different recipes and cook them in so many different ways. The fried potatoes are one of my favorite things, and these look pretty much done. So let's get a little bowl out here. Get my towel. And I'm gonna use a spatula here. That way I don't take all that oil. And just shovel them in here. Be careful because these are very hot. I don't know if you can see over here on the tortillas, but they're starting to bubble up a little bit there. That means they're starting to get brown on the bottom. They're probably still pretty early on because that griddle takes a little while to heat up. But get this little guy out. Get in there. Alright. So immediately while these still have some oil on them, just take some salt and kind of work it in. Not too much. Try to keep it slightly less on the sodium, but you can see just how crispy those look. Delicious. And you can make these in advance and store them. Let's check on these tortillas. See that brownness on there? Let's use our little spatula here. Oh yeah. Now that, you might think that that's ready, but really let it keep going and it'll get even more golden brown. Just gonna rearrange them a little bit. So the guy that was in the middle, I'm gonna put him out here a little bit. This guy that was on the outside in the middle, and then in a minute we'll rotate this guy as well. Let's check on our beans. Oh yeah, that's nice and thick. Nice and thick. All that liquid getting cooked out. Beans are breaking down. One thing I'm gonna go ahead and do real quick that I almost forgot to do is I wanna put a little garlic in there. Let's get these potatoes in first. Alright. So same deal. Just gonna go straight into the hot oil. No reason to waste that oil in there. Might as well cook up another round of potatoes here and save them. If you're cooking for multiple people, this is a really good recipe because it makes a lot of black beans, and you can make as many potatoes as you want, and you can do all your tortillas in the oven. And in the oven they'll take about 20 minutes to get nice and crisp on about 350, 375, 400, somewhere in there. Okay, so I want some garlic in those beans as well. So I'm gonna grab a couple cloves of garlic here. I'm going to show you a quick way to deal with garlic. And if you don't own one of these, then you should get one because they're really convenient, especially when you're adding garlic into something that's already going. So be careful about smashing them too much because you want the clove to be whole, because we're gonna zest these. We're gonna microplane these into the beans. So that's a whole firm clove of garlic there. And that one's really big enough. I don't really need more than that. So this guy right here is, technically it's a zester. Microplane is a slightly different tool, but just gonna take it, oh, wrong dish. And we're just gonna go straight into these black beans with it. And you can hold it over there and just push down. This guy's coming apart here, but just push down as you're grating. This is a great way to get garlic infused into a dish, because if you're having to mince the garlic, it's usually going to be in chunks. But with this, if you see, that's just straight, like that's basically like you put it through a garlic press. So we're just gonna boom, just like that. One more. Now all that garlic's in there, and we're just gonna work it through. So the beans are really nice consistency. I want them to cook down a little bit more. Check on my tortillas. That one got a little too dark, but that's all right. That's about where you want them to be, just minus the blackness. And if they start to puff out like that, just push them down. Yeah, that guy's a little crispy. But anyway, we're gonna do the other side of these now. Get them nice and golden. And as long as you get one side that's nice and crispy, the other side's not as important. Just push them down. And while they're nice and wet from the butter, just go ahead and hit them with a little salt. Okay. So we've got our potatoes here cooking again. Getting crispy. I could have done both these potatoes in this one pan, but didn't think they would cook as fast as they did, so no worries. Black beans looking good. And you could call these at any point, really, at this point. You could say, you know, I'm good with that. I like to cook mine down just a little bit more. I'm gonna drop that down to low. I'm gonna drop the tortillas down to about a medium, and we'll leave our potatoes on about a medium. So we've got our raw onion over here. We've got our lime ready. Now we're just gonna get some cilantro. Like I said, some of this cilantro is going bad, so I'm gonna pick through a little bit of it. And most of it's just where I've pulled off leaves. Some people will say, you know, only use the leaves, but the stems are fine. I really don't mind stems at all on mine. I can't really taste too much of a difference, and the texture doesn't really bother me. I'll get off as much of the stem as possible. And if I see some bits like this, I'll just pull the stems out. But don't obsess over it, because it's just kind of a waste of time. At the end of the day, it's all cilantro flavor, and it's beautifully delicious. So just rough chop that. And you can leave some of them slightly whole, just for appearance or the aesthetic of the dish. But I like to get a nice rough chop going on it. That's good. Check on these potatoes again. Nice and crispy on one side. Just move them around, get them nice and crispy on the other side. And while those are finishing, I'm gonna go ahead and plate up one of these. Check the bottom. Yeah, that one looks good. I'm gonna get a little pair of tongs here, a little easier to deal with. So you see the color we got on that on both sides. That one can go a little longer there. That one looks pretty nice, but we'll just leave these out here on the not as hot side. And I'll get a plate. Get a little plate here. Okay. Let's grab our tortilla. All right. I want to take a little bit of beans. Maybe 2 tablespoons of beans. Put it on there nice. Kind of hold the tortilla down and spread those beans out. As much as you want, really. Some people will tell you that beans are inflammatory, but I'm here to tell you that all foods are inflammatory, and animal products are especially inflammatory. So if they come at you with that beans are inflammatory business, you just tell them everything's inflammatory, and animal products are more inflammatory than legumes. All right, a little bit of crunchy potato here, all over. Just like that. A little bit more. Beautiful. Okay, come over here, let's get our raw onion. Raw onion's such a nice flavor on stuff like this when it's cold and fresh. That. Perfect. A little cilantro over top. Give it a good spread. Make the plate look nice. There we go. And last but not least, actually, 2 things. I'm gonna hit it with some lime juice here, just to squeeze, just to freshen it up. But I also got my all-time favorite hot sauce in here, which is green Cholula. This is the jalapeno and poblano pepper Cholula hot sauce. And I'm just gonna go lightly over the top with it. There we go. Put that up. Check on my potatoes. Yeah, those are good. I'll turn off the heat on that. All right, so here we are. This is the final dish. Black bean tostada with potatoes, red onion, cilantro, lime juice, and little Cholula to top it off. I believe you would refer to it as a tostada de papa y frio, potentially. You can correct me on that in the comments below if I'm wrong, but let's get a bite. Yum. Get a little paper towel here. You're not doing it right if it's not all over your face. The seasoning in those black beans, the crispy crunchy tortilla, the crunchy potato, nice fresh red onion, lime juice. Ooh, it's all so good. Okay. Delicious. Okay, so those are my black bean tostadas with potatoes. I hope you enjoyed the video. If so, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel so that you can see when I post new content. And leave a comment below if there's anything I got wrong here or anything you want to point out, or potentially any suggestions for future videos. Definitely let me know. I'd love to hear it. And thanks for watching.